funding is really coming from the government levies that are placed on fuel, and in addition to the department's battle to prevent accidents and reduce road accidents, the RAF was formed to make sure that they're able to help the victims of road accident. But the challenge now becomes the high rate of accidents in Gauteng and how to sustain that. Let's now talk to the Minister of Transport, Dipuo Peters. Minister, thank you so much for making the time.
Good morning, Desiree, and good morning to the viewers.
It's Transport Month, and this is one of the agencies within your department. And how do you feel about this initiative here today?
This is a very good initiative that is driven by the Road Accident Fund, and I'm happy to indicate that today we are in 4 cities, Cape Town, Port Elizabeth, Giyani, and now in Alexandra, to be able to make sure that government's call to make services accessible to the people becomes a reality. This is part of that expansion of taking the offices from the air-conditioned places to the people so that they can be able to benefit from the intervention like this. I'm sure you are aware that we are in the decade of the UN dealing with road safety to make sure that we can reduce the fatalities in particular by 50% on the figures of 2010. And one of the instruments to make it possible that we reach the people is also to speak about the services that we have through the Road Accident Fund, which is one of the legs of the 5 pillars of the UN post-crash care. What do we do once people are involved in a crash? And that is to make sure that those that survive are taken care of, those who have passed on are being buried, but also to make sure that those who need to be able to be given the rehabilitation and all other medical services, they can be able to intervene in that space. You would know that the bulk of the services that people need after a crash are very expensive. So government established this fund to be able to make sure that those of our people in particular, as part of creating a better life for all, as part of intervening in making it possible that especially the poorest of the poor can have access to an equitable service, we have this particular type of intervention.
Minister, you speak about the cost of rehabilitation, and it is no secret that the Road Accident Fund for a while has been under financial stress. How is government helping them?
Like I speak now, we have been engaging with National Treasury to make National Treasury realize that we've got a huge backlog of more than 92 billion rand that we need to be able to process in terms of the claims that are outstanding, including the claims to lawyers and claims to the health fraternity and many others. So we are engaging to see whether we can get additional resources. I'm also able to indicate here that I'm sure because of the efficiencies that we realize in terms of the vehicles, the big vehicles becoming more efficient, but people using less of their own vehicles, the Road Accident Fund through the fuel levy has not been able to get the requisite amount. So we're looking at additional funding.
Well, you're talking about encouraging people to use less of their own vehicles. You've got a campaign, the Shova Galula bicycle. Tell us about that.
Shova Galula is an intervention of government, especially for the rural school children, and in particular those who live far from schools but in communities where it would be not cost effective to be able to get a scholar transport. So we intervened in that space to provide the bicycles. We have not been able to move at the speed at which we need to be able to move. We want to be able to distribute about 23,000 bicycles in the next 3 years. And today in Giyani we will be giving 100 bicycles. We have given some in Mafikeng. We're giving throughout nationally 100 bicycles per province. We want to build a factory to manufacture these bicycles because as we speak they are being imported, and we believe that it is by building the factory and making the bicycles locally that we could be able to create jobs, but also we are encouraging provinces to create almost like the repair workshops so that people can be able to repair the bicycles. I want to appeal through you, in particular to families. When children are given these bicycles, let the father, the uncle and the mother not take the bicycle from the child, because it is one instrument to make sure that children have got access to education.
And build a culture.
And build a culture of going to school. But we're also now in the next coming weeks, finalizing the scholar transport so as to be able to augment, especially for those who live even a longer distance away from school.
When you step into this room and you see the number of claimants and people who are trying to confirm the status of their claims, does it start to make sense to the numbers in terms of how many people are claiming through the RAF?
In fact, just between 7 and 8 this morning, the RAF in the 4 centers have already distributed or facilitated more than 10 million rand claims. But I also want to say this is an indication of how the message about road safety is not reaching our people. Because you see the number of people and it actually gives you an indication of the magnitude and the size of road crashes in South Africa. We seem to be the biggest in the world, and we've got a big challenge because the people who suffer the most are the poorest of the poor. And that is why you see, like, for example...
Minister, we're running out of time. Just a quick one. It's Transport Month, and the Road Accident Fund is only but an agency within the department. What is your message this month?
This month we're saying we want to move South Africa forward by working with each and every stakeholder in South Africa. And I'm happy to indicate that the religious fraternity has joined us with regard to road safety. And we would want to make sure that people get to understand that transport is supposed to facilitate and enable you to have access to services and be able to reach your destination. It should not be a killer. It should not be an instrument to maim or injure people.
Thank you so much for your time. Dipuo Peters is the Minister of Transport in South Africa, and we're at the Johannesburg Technical College talking to you about the work of the Road Accident Fund today. You're watching Morning Live. Let's take a break.